I am now going to call to order the Tuesday, October 17th, 6 p.m. school board meeting to order. At this time, we're going to have the presentation of arms from Cadet Sergeant Mason Seepersed, Cadet Second Lieutenant Landon Smith, Cadet Second Lieutenant Joseph Sherman, and Cadet Sergeant Kira Coolin. All rise, please. At this time, we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of bursting in gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, and please be seated. Going to start with roll call all the way down at the end, gentlemen. Announce that you're here.
Stanley Gatzik here.
Brendan Wong, present.
Christy Chong, present.
Will Furry, present.
Sally Hunt.
Colleen Conklin, present.
Cheryl Massaro.
LaShaka Moore.
All right, any proclamations and resolutions? We're not going to have a legislative update at this point. Mr. Wheeler, Family Engagement Month.
Thank you, Chair Massaro, Superintendent Moore, Board. It's a resolution of the Flagler County School Board recognizing November 2023 as Family Engagement Month in Flagler County. Whereas family involvement in a child's education from preschool through college is critical to student success and sets the foundation for preparing Florida's students to be lifelong learners and meaningful contributors to society. And whereas creating an environment where learning takes place not just in a classroom, but as a central part of family life requires that families play an active role in their children's education. And whereas the role of families in creating a successful preschool through college education system for Florida's children is very important, And whereas Flagler School's educational leaders had developed resources for all families to engage more fully in their child's education and to strengthen the partnerships with schools. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the critical contributions made by families who foster a love for learning in their children and by educators who acknowledge the importance of family engagement and encourage making family engagement an integral part of the mission of all schools. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Flagler County School Board that November 2023 is Florida Family Engagement Month and encourages families and schools to create strong partnerships on behalf of the future of our students and their families across the state of Florida. Adopted by the members of the Flagler County School Board, Flagler County, Florida, at the regular public meeting thereof, held on the 46th day of school, the 17th day of October, 2023. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to our spotlight. Prior to that, though, we've had some adjustments to our agenda.
Don't we have a 2.03 last week?
I didn't see it. Do we? Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a 2.03. It's not on my copy. All right. Do we have a speaker for Holocaust Education Week? No? Okay, we can read it. We're going to ask the students to help us here. Can you see that on your screen? All right, would you each start reading one sentence each?
Whereas the Holocaust was an atrocity against the European Jewish people, which was set in motion by the Nazi government in Germany with the intent to annihilate the Jewish race, and
Whereas persecution of Jews involved the passage of anti-Semitic laws, public humiliation, organized violence, physical displacement, looting, isolation, incarcerations, internment, and forced labor that led to the murder of 6 million Jews, and
Whereas the stories and survivor accounts should be preserved and taught to future generations to nurture tolerance in a pluralistic society, and
Whereas Floridians should reflect on and remember the millions of murdered and persecuted Jewish people and others who were victims of the Nazi regime, and
Whereas all Floridians have access to resources to help them understand how religious prejudice, racism, and stereotyping led to the atrocities of the Holocaust, and
Whereas through education, we can learn to respect all people and protect democratic institutions and values, and
Whereas Holocaust Education Week is part of Florida's required instruction under Section 1003.42, parentheses 2, parentheses G, Florida statutes. Florida will become a beacon in educating our youth so that all victims and all involved in liberating the survivors may be honored. And now, therefore, I, Governor DeSantis of the state of Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of Monday, November 6th through Friday, November 10th, 2023, as Holocaust Education Week in memory of the victims of the Holocaust and in honor of the survivors as well as the rescuers and liberators. In witness thereof, I have here to set my hand and cause the Great Seal of the state of Florida to be affixed at Tallahassee in the Capitol this day in the year of our Lord 2023. And that is from the governor. Okay, now moving along. We've had to make some adjustments because we have some time-certain agenda items that need to be moved. Therefore, we're going to go through the spotlight, and at the end of the spotlight on 305, we are now relocating 1701. 306 will now was 2001, and 307 is now 2002. After 2002, 307, we will be taking a 10-minute break because there are some contracts that would need to be signed. Then we will resume our normal meeting. Okay. So we'll start the Superintendent's Strategic Plan Spotlight.
Good evening. I will actually yield my spotlight to our NEFAC aspiring leaders. I do ask that Ms. Bosterdette come forward, or actually Mr. Reeves is here in the room. Mr. Reeves, please come forward as we honor the individuals who have participated in the aspiring leaders cohort last year. We do appreciate them, the time and attention that they put forward in order to accomplish becoming an Inspire leader here in Flagler County.
Thank you, Superintendent Moore. Chair Massaro, board members, Ms. Moore, it is a pleasure. We've been in this program now a couple years, and to see these individuals come forward is amazing. And just to let you know, the Aspiring Leader Program, or the ALP, is a pipeline for us to groom and work with aspiring leaders in our programs to grow our own, right, which we always talk about. And so these individuals were identified by their principals or their admin leadership to partake in this opportunity. And just some of the modules they worked for through and through is effective school leadership, the leaders as coach, and leaders as administrators. And they were also given opportunities on their campus to perform other duties, right? To give them exposure and opportunities to deal with transportation, to deal with supervision and things like that, to see if this is what they want to do, and they give them those exposure opportunities to see, hey, this is great, I'm enjoying it. And so we want to recognize those individuals now and ask them to come forward and remain here till we can get everybody up front, okay? So our first up is Anthony Robinson. Cassandra Myers. Kathy Massette. Robin Jake. Carlo Gutierrez. Susan Grego. Ashley Forrest. After school activities. Leslie DuPont. Stephen Collier. Kimberly Colaro. Jennifer Carroll. Jamie Bryan. Jimmy Byrne, excuse me. Tyler Bethay, did he make it back from practice? Yes, he did. Helping JV soccer. Noelle Bethay, mom. Gloria Barton. Erica Babcock. Gina Antonisi. Aaron Andrews. And last I have Roddy Bruna. Bruna Roddy, sorry. These are aspiring leaders for this last class for year 2023. Congratulations.
All right, can you all stay so we can get a picture? We'd like a picture with you.
Squeeze in, squeeze in.
All right, now we're going to have the Flagler Ed Foundation Spotlight. Ms. Rizzo.
Good evening, Board, Chair Massaro, and Superintendent Moore. Thank you again always for the opportunity to be able to share the great things that are happening in our school district and with our Ed Foundation. So the Flagler County Education Foundation had the privilege to welcome the Leadership, Education, Advancement, and Development cohort from the Flagler Palm Coast Regional Chamber of Commerce on a tour of our Classroom to Careers programs of study at 3 of our Flagler schools. The tour was orchestrated by the Flagler County Education Foundation Assistant Director of Marketing and Communications, Stephanie Ellis, who developed a tour agenda with a focus on pathways from elementary to middle through high school, demonstrating how students are exposed to CTE or career technical education programs and providing them the opportunity to graduate with certifications. Superintendent Moore greeted the members of the cohort first thing that morning, welcoming them to the school district and then sending them on their way. Tour members included the president of the Palm Coast Flagler Chamber of Commerce, Greg Blose, and had an opportunity to discuss curriculum with teachers, leadership at each school. They also participated in some student discussions about the various learning opportunities and spaces that they visited. Some testimonials from some of the members. It was truly remarkable and educational. Wonderful to see all the amazing things happening in our school. It's exciting and inspiring. I loved having the opportunity to talk with students and hear about what they were learning in the classroom. The Flagler County Education Foundation is excited to announce that we will be hosting monthly tours of our Flagler Schools programs, Classroom to Careers, that create a pipeline of talent for our students reflecting the Flagler County's industries. If anyone is interested in participating in these tours, you can scan this QR code at the end of this slideshow. Thank you for sliding through it slowly. Or you can contact Stephanie Ellis at the foundation, and she would love to set you up with a tour. Thank you.
If I may, I want to thank Ms. Rizzo for hosting these tours. It really gives our community and our parents an opportunity to see firsthand the great things that are happening within our schools. I did have a member of that group come to me and say, Ms. Moore, I'm sorry. I believed and thought a certain way based on things that I heard. But when I came in and walked the halls and saw what was happening in our schools, I was very proud. And that is what we want to happen. So thank you, Ms. Rizzo, for continuing to host those tours. We look forward to bringing as many people as possible through to safely see what is happening on our campuses. Thank you.
Okay, we're at 3.04, Flagler Technical College Health Literacy Grant.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board, Superintendent Moore. I'd like to introduce to you tonight for your spotlight Mr. Travis Thomas, the Supervisor of Adult Education Programs at Flagler Technical College.
First, I wanted to say thank you all for allowing me the time to celebrate a wonderful win with you today. Flagler Technical College is pleased to announce that our adult education programs have been awarded a one-year, $5,000 grant for the ongoing implementation of a health education program to benefit adult education students and their families. Select programs across the state have been awarded this grant after a competitive grant writing process. I'd like to recognize Sharon Kochenauer, FTC's fantastic grants and financial aid manager, for always playing an integral role in helping write for this grant. I also wish to publicly thank my director, Renee Kirkland, whose leadership and mentorship has been instrumental in my personal grant writing development and growth. The grant awarded by Florida Blue Foundation and the Florida Literacy Coalition will allow us funding to integrate health and nutrition information into FTC's curriculum with the focus to help students acquire the knowledge, literacy skills, and resources that will help them navigate the medical system in the U.S. and make informed health decisions for their entire family unit. Curriculum, projects, and information distributed to students as part of this grant was able to touch the lives of almost 400 students last year and is targeted to reach even higher numbers as our programs grow and expand. This information is particularly impactful for our ESOL student population, many of whom have very, very limited exposure to how things like insurance, medical emergencies, and appointment setting work in the United States. During the 23-24 academic year, FTC will deliver health literacy content consisting of, but not limited to, medication safety, nutrition, and promotion of improved personal and family health. Students in FTC's ESOL classes will benefit from a robust health literacy curriculum and engaging health-related projects, including the continuation of our Inspirations Writing Project and the Healthy Foods from Around the World cookbook. In addition, it will include age-appropriate health activities and digitally accessible health-related content for all of FTC's AGE, CTE, and New Beginnings Daycare Center families. I personally greatly appreciate the board, superintendent, and student board members' support of FTC and understanding that educating and developing our area's adults is just as important as supporting our younger students, as our area adults are significant influencers in the lives of their children and family units. I'd like to invite you to celebrate this win with us by scheduling time to visit our classrooms, to see the great things our teachers and students are accomplishing together. Talk to some of our students about the immense impact learning has had on their lives, as well as the lives of their entire families, and also to further discuss ways to generate more funding and space to expand these growing and near and some at capacity programs. If you have any questions, I'd be honored to answer them before I step away.
Any questions, anybody? Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for
Thank
sharing
you
that
all so
information
much.
with us. Okay, now it gets a little confusing for everybody. We're going to 1701, which is now 3.05. 1701 is a resolution approving master lease purchase of financing arrangements for lease purchase of school buses. Who's presenting that? All right, Ms. Warmick is coming to the mic now.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent, and school board members. I am here to present the lease purchase of school buses. Tonight we have with us our bond counsel to help get us through this process for the signing of the documents. Back in June, we had presented this at the June 20th workshop for the lease purchase of 14 buses, the total amount of $2.5 million. After that, the RFP was sent out in late summer, And the results of the RFP process were shown at our meeting 2 weeks ago, so everyone can view that on our website. The end result of the RFP was that Bank of America was the lowest bid with an interest rate of 4.2405%, which is very favorable in our economic times that we are in now. This lease is for a 5-year term, and it ends in August of 2028. The annual principal and interest payments are approximately $555,000, and it will be funded through both the 1.5 mil capital funds and the half-cent sales tax. If there are any questions on this RFP, I will take them at this time.
All right, hearing no questions, I need a motion
Move approval.
and a second.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Ferry and a second from Ms. Chung to approve this agreement. Any other further conversation?
I guess I'll just quickly add for the benefit of the public who maybe have not been paying attention to this conversation. Our logistics costs with the buses, it was deemed beneficial to the district for this lease option. Mr. Furry has discussed this a lot, which has been great, that in a lot of cases we're used to on a personal level, leasing a car may not be always the best, maybe financial move long-term. But the board has listened to a lot of information, and our CFO has provided a lot of great details on why, for our district, this really makes a lot of financial sense for the district, and then overall, obviously, for our community. So, Patty, I don't know, that wasn't very good, but I just wanted to share.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt, and I just want to add that, as we talked about in our previous meetings, it is the 2008 fleet of buses that is the most costly, and the purchase of these buses, it will be replacing that 2008 fleet.
And that is 13 buses,
14.
14 now, but 14 buses, and we will own them at the end of the 5-year term.
That is correct.
All right. Any other further comments or questions? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor of this agreement say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Now, we're going to, I know everybody has been referring to my colleague up here as superintendent, but officially, she's only still interim superintendent. We have since negotiated a wonderful contract and are looking forward to making it official this evening. So, we're going to 20. There.
20.01.
All right, 2001, the superintendent's contract. The board members have had an opportunity to view this document. All right, is there a motion? Okay, I've got Dr. Conklin, a second.
I'll second.
Mr. Fury? All right, we have a first and a second. It is now open for conversation. Anybody? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the contract that was presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? And it passes unanimously. All right, we now have a superintendent. Congratulations. Okay. All right. At this time, we are going to officially swear in the new superintendent of Flagler Schools. Judge Dissler is here to perform the service.
You want her to hold one?
Let's do this
Like,
one.
how are we doing this? All right, repeat after me, please. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the government
and the government
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution
under the Constitution
of the state,
of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of Superintendent of Flagler Schools,
the duties of Superintendent of Flagler Schools,
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a 9-minute break, and we'll start again at 6:40, because we have contracts that we have to sign. So we will return to normal business at 6:40. To return to the meeting. So we're going now to the approval of minutes. I need a motion.
Move approval.
All right, Ms. Hunt, a second.
Second.
Ms. Chung. All right, we have a motion for the approval of the minutes and a second. All those, any questions first? Anybody? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, we are down now, we already made the adoption of changes to the agenda. Now we're at public comment, the first public comment. Ms. Gavin.
First public comment is Chanel Channing on student progression plan.
Yes, hi. Chanel Channing, social worker, advocate on behalf of students here. Reason I chose the agenda items student progression plan is when you're looking at your annual review for the progression plan, one item that I would want you to maybe consider adding is how does that student function in an environment that has zero tolerance for violence? As this is what would be a standard that would ask you to consider having our schools, is the schools that have zero tolerance for violence. You know, there are schools, as you know, I know you're looking around as we are in a crisis, as you know, with our schools having had recent arrests, and this is a preponderance of violence that we've been having a problem with. And I'm sure you're looking at other schools and saying, well, okay, what are they doing right? And I'm sure you're looking at other towns and cities and saying, okay, what are perhaps the different kind of cultures that we have in different cities and towns, and saying, well, what are the differences that we have? But the bottom line still comes down to zero tolerance for violence. And I can tell you as a veteran, one thing that I saw in basic training and working in mental health is the zero tolerance is what works. When I would have soldiers come to me, no matter what their mental health issues were, I could always deal with them because they knew that if those behaviors didn't change, they were going to get kicked out. So it was amazing. I knew I wasn't such a successful mental health person as much as that zero tolerance is what gave me a tremendous amount of leverage. So I would hope that you would really look at, well, what do you have to do to get to that zero tolerance for violence? And if your hands are tied completely legislatively, then I'd like to evoke the name of Governor DeSantis. And I would like to say, Governor, come look at your county here, Flagler, because we helped make you. I know you love Flagler. And we love you. We helped get you there. So please look upon Flagler, because Flagler is like the whole state. We're in crisis. So many people moving here so quickly. Come take a look at your schools, because these kids are going to be pouring out on your streets, and we do not want violence in our streets. Thank you. Zero tolerance for violence. Thank you.
Next presenter is Vivian Jones regarding the swearing in. That concludes the public comment that is related to any of the business that is before you. The remainder of the comments will be held at the end.
Okay. We are now on resources and supports consent items. It would be 701 to 709. Can I have a motion?
Move approval.
Okay. So we have Ms. Chong. And a second?
Second.
Mr. Ferry. Dr. Conklin.
Just for the record, I'll be abstaining because the contract for Embry-Riddle is in here and file the appropriate paperwork.
That is fine. All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Chung and a second by Mr. Ferry. Any other conversation? I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. Our next consent item is 9, academic services. And just for the public to know, we've already workshopped all this information. We're not making quick decisions. We have gone through each and every one of these. 901 to 909. 901 to 909. I need a motion.
Move approval.
Mr. Ferry, a second.
Second.
Ms. Hunt? All right, we have a first by Mr. Ferry, a second by Ms. Hunt to adopt 901 to 909. Any questions? 905, Dr. Conklin is abstaining. All right, any other further questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. So that would be a 4-1, 4-0. All right, 10, operational services, 1001 to 1005. I need a motion. Dr. Conklin, a second.
Second.
Mr. Ferry. Any conversation on 1001 to 1005? These are all the homes that are moving in, plus our safe school assessment tool. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. All right, Human Resources, 1101, request board approval for personnel items. I need a motion.
Move approval.
Mr. Ferry. A second.
Second.
You both did at the same time, so I'm going to go with Ms. Chung this time. I think I went with Ms. All right, so we have a first by Mr. Ferry and a second by Ms. Chung. Any conversation? Questions? None? Call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. All right, now we're going on to action. (1902). We needed to pull that earlier. We did not, so we have to cross that off, correct?
Motion to table,
Table? Motion to table, you think?
time certain to
Table.
the next meeting.
Why are we not, I'm sorry, why are we not doing 1901 first?
We have 1901
Oh,
first, the
1901.
legislative platform.
Oh, the vote and platform. That is correct. Thank you.
Board members, you have the legislative platform priorities in front of you that we workshopped this afternoon, identifying our top 3 items, one being a local project, 1.6 million in funding to expand the facilities at Flagler Technical College to support more students and additional programs. Also, a new emergency temporary teacher certification for critical shortage areas that allow full-time status for teaching candidates who otherwise do not meet the requirements for a 5-year temporary certificate on a 1-year basis. And then the third, funding to secure the current 5-year adopted capital work plan to account for additional requirements to include expenditures for students who were previously exempt from the source, and we'll identify the source as being the 1.5 mil.
All right, we've heard the recommendations. We discussed this at the first meeting, and we're trying to get this passed so we can become timely for our lobbyists. I need a motion.
Move approval.
Ms. Chong, a second.
Second.
Mr. Ferry. We have a first by Ms. Chung, a second by Mr. Ferry to approve the recommended legislative platform priorities for 2023-2024. Any further comments or questions? Call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. Now we're going on to 1902, which I believe we're going to table that item from
Is that-
conversation today.
Table to what's the date?
To the
26.
26th.
Table to 10/26. Okay. All right, we have then a motion to table 1902 to 10/26. I need a motion, who's going to motion it? Or you just table it?
Well, you have the time certain, you already have the motion in front of you. It doesn't require a second, it just needs the vote.
Okay, so we need a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. That's done. Okay, we did 2001 and 2002. We are now down to old business. Old business. Anybody? No old business. New business. No new business. We're up to our second public comment, 2301. This is open now on any topic, any topic.
All right, your next speaker is Catherine Cascone, Parent Communications and Behavior Program, and then after her will be Charlene Cothran.
Hello. I'm grateful to all of you for your hard work and extend appreciation to everyone working for our schools and law enforcement. Tonight, I'm asking you to improve parent communication and involvement and also ask to implement a behavioral program that has proven success. I've raised a big family and I've worked hard in the schools, and I've had my children in private schools, public schools, and even homeschooled them, so I've seen a lot of things. In my career, I've worked with emotionally challenged children and adults, and I've used real behavior programs that benefited them while also protecting the environment we all shared. Most communications parents receive now are either opportunities or recognition-based. We don't get adequate communication when unfortunate events occur. I recognize that you have little control over events that happen, but what you do have control of is how it's handled. And I commend everyone who protects our children. In 2 events in the previous months that made national news, I received no information from the school, and I've learned how to monitor local law enforcement sites, but many parents are left to hearing stories from their children and social media with poor accuracy and resulting outrage. The facts should come directly from administration and promptly. If our schools need physical support, allow the parents to be involved and have a presence in the schools. We also have a wealth of retired citizens who have been trained in this capacity, and it will cost you nothing. I've passed my child to school before with police and helicopters and received no call at the beginning, and it was alarming at the least. We should be notified at the onset of any event, letting us know that something is going on, what it is, and that our children have been secured and are with adults. Most importantly, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Our schools need a real behavioral program that works for all students that should begin in kindergarten, not high school. Having parents sign behavior agreements at the start of the year is not a behavioral program, nor is the FBIS program that's described on your website, and Flagler's virtual school is underutilized to protect students. Teaching children how to manage their emotions and how to communicate their feelings is proven to avoid behavior problems in adulthood and should be implemented in every grade as their cognitive abilities mature. There are a number of successful school-based programs, and this benefits all of us. Try calling any private therapist in the 3 nearby counties, because if you're lucky enough to have your insurance accepted, you will be on a waiting list. All children benefit from learning to regulate their emotions, and this is essential to those who suffer from terrible emotional problems, but it's just as essential for children who attend our schools, suffer from anxiety and depression because they have to witness outbursts regulate, and they're in constant stress because of their environment. These children are future adults who will use what we give them now to create their legacy, and to do that, we leave them our legacy with what we do here. What will your legacy be? And if you choose to do nothing, American history tells us this problem will escalate. As a parent who's experienced the death of a child that couldn't be prevented, I can only imagine having to face a parent to experience any harm that happened to their child needlessly. So I implore you to act on these matters. I will be the first person to volunteer, cooperate, help, and do anything for this community so we all benefit for our collective future. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next speaker is Charlene Cothran on missing money, and followed by her will be Dr. Yvette Edghill-Spano.
This evening, I'd like to offer a sincere congratulations to Superintendent Moore, and I hope they keep you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charlene Cothran, president of the Evidence Ministry, Inc., a pro-family advocacy group. I think I've said before this board many times my background, so I'll skip that part just for time's sake. I want to offer that it is not hysterical to ask questions when there is a traumatic event in our school system. It is not spreading conspiracy theories to ask questions when, and the such question I'm asking tonight is what happened to $719,586? And I know you can't speak about it because there is an investigation. It has been published as a phishing scam. More specifically, my question is, out of the 69 school districts in the state of Florida, why did professional scam artists select Flagler County? I know you can't answer me, but these are questions that I have and that I'm asking throughout this community. Could it be that because our board is distracted constantly on things that really don't matter? Why hasn't anyone on this board sought to make any statement? I know why, because you can't speak about it because you're under FBI investigation. But I find it really interesting that many of you wanted your name in the paper. You know, when the headlines came out with the Bunnell Elementary School thing, of course you wanted to be, you know, in the paper then all over the country. You wanted your statement, you know, made, and that really didn't make any sense. It didn't make, the whole event didn't make any sense is what I'm saying. So I'm not sure how long the FBI investigation will go on. I suspect, however, it's going to go on just long enough for this election cycle to take place so that none of you can speak out about this event. In closing, I think it would be hysterically foolish for citizens of Flagler County to turn our heads when $700,000 is missing from our account. I think it's hysterically foolish to have it swept under the rug and hope that enough time goes by that we'll just forget all about it. That's not going to happen. I believe someone knows more, and we will continue to ask questions of the people of Flagler County. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Dr. Yvette Edgehill-Spano on NAACP collaboration, followed by Don Wilburn.
Good evening, board, school board chair, Massaro, and Superintendent Shiglakia Moore, and congratulations. So I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Yvette Edgehill-Spano, and I am the education chair for the NAACP. And I wanted to share with you what our vision statement is, and that is the establishment of an information and knowledge-rich environment that will encompass our school system, adult learning activities, and public partnerships, which is the overarching vision of our education committee. And that opens up the door for collaborations. And we are looking to collaborate with you as the board. We're also looking to collaborate with organizations, other organizations within our counties and our communities, the parent-teacher organizations, so that we can ensure that parents are empowered and that students are thriving. We also want to be able to be there if issues, concerns, or actions occur that we can at least help to support the parents, students, as well as the administration here. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you for listening to me for this time, and know that I'm not going anywhere. You'll be seeing more of me, so thank you.
Don Wilburn, Bible in School Library, and then followed by Dan Scollin.
Good evening. I can't believe that I'm standing here, number one, as a father, embarrassed because in the Bunnell Elementary situation, I encouraged my daughter, Donnell Evanson, believe in your leaders, babe. Believe in your leaders. Because you have a 18-year track record, impeccable. And they'll look at that, and they'll stand behind you, babe. From the superintendent to the board members, they'll stand behind you, because that's what leadership is about, because I've been part of leadership and for 40 years, and I've put my neck on the line for subordinates. And then for it to turn out the way that it did. I think what a fool I was to tell my daughter to trust her future in her hands. Secondly, as a pastor, I can't believe I'm standing here having to defend the Bible and its relevancy in our libraries. A book that has changed millions, if not billions, of people's lives, and because somebody writes in or submits a complaint of partial observations without including the forgiveness, the mercies, the compassion, the salvation processes of God's Word. So it's being potentially considered about removing it from our libraries. When our very superintendent stood here with her right hand on it tonight. I would say if you thought you had a firestorm with Bunnell Elementary, go ahead and remove the Bible, because I'm probably and will certainly not be the only pastor and congregation person that's standing in this place in the future. Appreciate real leadership. You didn't show it in Donnell's case. When the storm happened, you didn't show it, but at least show it in the Bible.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Dan Scollin, followed by Hope Scollin.
Hello. I really don't know what to say anymore when I come up here and talk about wireless radiation to you guys and cell phone towers that are less than 300 feet from the nearest classroom at your local high school. I was informed that in the next meeting, over a month away, that you were going to have somebody come in here and talk about radio frequency, electromagnetic fields. And when I asked who it was, is it somebody from the industry? Well, yes, it's going to be from the cell tower industry that's going to come and speak on this absolute conflict of interest. I don't really know how to get this issue across. I have extensive experience myself. I'm not a PhD. I'm not a researcher. I'm not a scientist. Just an advocate for children's health. And we're dropping the ball every time you drag your feet on this situation. I've talked to teachers. I've talked to students. People are sick when they come to FPC. Headaches, dizziness, the anxiety and nervousness that are talked about, and childhood cancer that are talked about. Every single meeting, these parents come and complain about this. Fluorescent lighting, wireless routers, 30 bidirectional microwave frequencies coming from cell phones day in and day out, a cell tower, less than 3. I've talked to teachers. Some of them are afraid to come forward. I've talked to students. They don't want to be canceled. They don't want to come and talk. I've talked to a student who is so sick, she's been seen by many neurologists. I've talked to her family, and they don't know what to say and what to attribute it to, but she says, I get sick every time I come to school. Cerebral spinal fluid leaks, telltale characteristic of overexposure to electromagnetic fields. There's a teacher at FPC whose son just graduated from FPC a year ago. Cerebral spinal fluid leak. I'm telling you, this stuff is real. I have a list of names. People are afraid to come forward, and I've barely scratched the surface, but there's no way you're going to get a cell phone company, scientist, a shill, a paid shill, to come in here and tell you what he's getting paid to tell you. You can't allow that. You can't allow that. But I'm going to ask for some sort of public disclosure, at the very least, to these students and teachers who are exposed to this. This is
All right,
criminal.
thank you.
It's criminal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Hope Scullin, cell tower on school grounds, followed by Andrea Caldiero.
So you're going to hear a little bit of what you just heard from Danny, but it's kind of from my perspective. As a mother from a high schooler at FPC, I really do want to just formally lodge a complaint with you about having a 4G, 5G tower on the school grounds right next to our children. We know, it's written, you can go look online, you can go to the World Health Organization. They've classified RF EMF radiation as a class 2B carcinogen. And in 2019, they even have re-elevated it as a high priority because of all the new research that has come to light. We know that the American Academy of Pediatrics has acknowledged health symptoms occurring with close proximity to cell towers, such as headaches, depression, memory issues, sleep problems. That just names a few. There have been numerous studies published in respected journals finding health harms with proximity to cell phone towers. Everyone here has to agree that there's plenty of compelling information regarding health risk associated with this topic. Having said that, I don't understand, I'm unclear as to why you continue to renew the contract with these cell phone companies. It feels to me that there's a complete lack of transparency around the cell tower at FPC. Everyone I speak to doesn't even know it's there, and when they find out, they're astounded. I know it's been brought up at other board meetings, but it's never disclosed in the notes. As a matter of fact, public concerns are never written up in the transcripts of these meetings, which I find to be a complete miss. That's a problem in itself. No transparency means no trust. People have a right to know. If more people actually knew there was a cell tower at FPC less than 300 feet from their kids' heads on the football field, there'd be a lot more speaking out with concerns on this topic. This should be one of the most important topics on your agenda as it affects the health of your students and your staff who spend at minimum 30 hours a week in your schools. I personally know several students who suffer from severe headaches and migraines only at school. I ask you to take swift action, move this cell tower off school grounds, or deactivate it at the very least. Dragging this out prolongs the health risk to the students in your care, and it's your responsibility to care for those students. I know as parents, grandparents, family members, community members, you'll do the right thing, but the right thing is to remove this cell tower from the school grounds. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Andrea Caldiero, cell tower on school grounds, followed by Charlene Werner.
Hello, thank you for all being here. My name is Andrea Caldiero. I'm not a parent, but I'm a member of the community, and our children are our future. And our children are vulnerable, and the people that are in the school education, their job is to protect the children, because if you don't protect the children, who will? I have published research studies, just to reiterate what Danny and Hope were saying, and every single published research study is recommending limiting liability with positioning to minimize negative health effects of cellular phone towers. The job of a school, as far as I know, is to educate our children, not to put a cell phone tower on the property so you can make a small profit, so you could bring in a little bit better cell phone coverage. Is it worth it when you hear from parent to parent to parent, and we are organizing and we are going to get the community together, and we will not let this lie? And if you do go out and you get a representative from Verizon or from Sprint, what do you think they're going to tell you? And again, I can share this with you guys, I can give it to you, but in other states, they want these cell phone towers 1,500 feet away from the schools. This cell phone tower is less than 300 feet. From what I hear from parents and from what I hear from the students that know that it's actually there, every time a student goes and plays a football game, every time, whatever students are closest to that tower, they are getting headaches. They're having adverse negative reactions. And again, the students and their health, it's up to you guys. And it takes a lot of courage to stand and to fight against this. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Charlene Warber, Bible in School, followed by Nick DeSantis.
Good evening. I'm here to talk about the challenge to the Bible being in the schools. I would like to share with you a quote from a man by the name of Fisher Ames. Fisher Ames provided the wording for the First Amendment in the House of Representatives. In this debate, as they were deciding on the wording of the First Amendment, he did not say anything about the separation of church and state. But he did say this: not only should the Bible be in our schools, it should be the primary textbook of our schools. And he was one of the people who wrote the First Amendment. You don't really hear a lot about that, but he also noted that the Bible was the principal source of morals in America and therefore must never be separated from the classroom. In the 60s, the courts reversed more than 2 centuries of precedent, including its own rulings, and ordered that the Bible and its teachings be prohibited in public education. Call it a coincidence, but statistics, call it a coincidence if you will, but statistics show that violent crime increased 700%, with schools therefore needing police or security officers and metal detectors, not to mention all the other crimes that skyrocketed at the same time. As our founders told us, the Bible is a moral guide. The fact of the matter is that the United States of America was founded on Judeo-Christian values. The Bible is the #1 most cited source in the Constitution. You may not agree with this. People may not agree with this, but that doesn't mean that they have the right to revise history. You cannot divorce our founding and what made us who we are from the Bible and the Judeo-Christian values it teaches. They are undeniably intertwined. Separation of church and state was never once mentioned in the creating, debating, or discussion of the Constitution. We know this by reading all the recorded journals that were transcribed in the legislative sessions. The phrase separation of church and state can only be found in a personal letter written by Thomas Jefferson to the Danbury Baptists in Connecticut, assuring their stated fears that the government would not take away their religious liberty. Recent times have shown a restoration of religious liberty. Louisiana recently passed a law known as HB 8, which requires a display of "In God We Trust," which is our national motto, in every classroom of every building in every public school district. It must be at least 11 by 14 inches. The Democratic governor signed the law back in June. This is not about blazing a new and radical trail. It is simply about restoring something that was a vital part of our nation and was unconstitutionally taken away. A restoration, not a banning of the Bible in schools, is what we need.
Nick DeSantis, Safety, followed by Louise Moore.
Well, it's certainly been a long time since I stood up at this podium. I'd like to congratulate you 2 young men. I know you're going to do a wonderful job. Well, I must remind you all, your number one priority is to protect our children. That is your number one priority. When I heard that we lost the vote 3-2 on the guiding program, my mind went, what? Are you kidding me? The 3 that voted in no, I don't care who it was. What are you waiting for? Someone to get killed? Let's get real here. We have a serious problem. The crime going through the school, it's ridiculous. And that's only the stuff we know about. There's things out there we don't even know about. So I suggest that you take this decision out of your hands and give it to the superintendent and law enforcement and let them make the decision on programs such as the Guardian program. If you guys can't even agree on what day it is half the time, so give it to the people that need and know what's going on. I'm not here, but Mike, I just got to tell you this real quick. My grandson called me and said, Pop, I don't want to go to school anymore. I said, you're 10 years old. What do you mean you don't want to go to school anymore? You know what he said to me? I'm scared. I'm scared that the bad boys are going to beat me up and the bad people are going to shoot me. This is what these kids are hearing. 10 years old. Wake up, people. Forget your political stance. Put it away. This is something everyone in this room should agree on. Protecting our children. Number one priority. Think about that when you go to sleep tonight and you read another story, a kid was killed or a teacher was bitten, or you all witnessed a very large young man nearly killed one of your teacher aides. Didn't that wake you up? If you don't think the Guardian program is a good program, there's something wrong with you. Because the Guardian program is just like those cameras you put around your house. People see those cameras, they ain't gonna rob your house. Okay? This is all common sense, folks. Let's wake up, all right? I love you all. You're all doing a great job, and congratulations.
Louise Moore, 5G Dangers.
I came to support my friends.
Mike, a little closer, please.
A little closer, T.
Came to support my friends who are concerned about the 5G dangers. And I'm guessing that there's conflicting evidence. I don't know near as much as Danny does, but as educators, the story that occurs to me is the story of Marie Curie working with radium and not knowing the dangers, and that it ultimately killed her in her research, Marie Curie. The thing is that the cell towers can't be proven to be safe. And given that they can't be proven to be safe, just looking up the difference between 4G technology and 5G technology, they say 5G is 100 times faster. So if it's that much faster, it must be a stronger signal. And those radio waves are obviously coming through the air. We can't see them, but our phones wouldn't work if they weren't there. So it stands to reason that that kind of radiation could also affect human cells and could potentially, and again, I'm not clear on the science of it, affect a child's brain. Cancer is a cellular issue. Just the fact that you can't determine that it's safe, and the technology has recently changed. The standards that applied from the FCC are back from the 1980s, I think. And I know from listening to the parents here, so many people come up and they're concerned about safety for their kids. And I'm concerned, I know you guys are too. But when it comes to such a relatively small amount of money for the cell tower rentals, seems like to err on the side of caution would be the wise thing to do. Even if it was, I've heard Danny say that even if the towers were moved a mile away, 2 miles away, it would make a difference. And just not right on top of the school. 300 feet is really not very far from where the kids are trying to learn and trying to think and just trying to maintain their health while they're engaging in their education. So I would implore the board, because you're the ones that vote on the question of whether the towers get to stay where they are and get to stay active. And that's a heavy responsibility. There's no evidence that it's safe. That's all I wanted to say.
That concludes public comment.
All right. Closing comments. We're going to start down at the end with Matanzas High School.
Good evening, everyone. So Matanzas has had a very successful last month, and we're looking forward to November. We had a successful PSAT test last Wednesday, and that was a great practice SAT for our 9th and 10th graders to sort of get them prepared for the SAT in their junior year. Our homecoming spirit week went very well, especially the barbecue dad versus soccer mom day. That was very interesting. And the dance went very well as well. It was a carnival theme, so there were like carnival games. It was very well decorated by our SGA. There's an upcoming Matanzas theater performance, Night of the Living Dead, which will be performed in our Pirate Theater the weekend of 10/26 to 10/28, and tickets will be available online if you're interested in that. We've had many college visits and tours throughout the last month, including UNF, and upcoming next week is UCF and UF, so we're looking forward to that for our seniors and juniors. There's an upcoming Blue Steel Caribbean Cafe dinner and concert on November 16th, and tickets will be available online for that. I know they do that every year. It's a great collaboration between our culinary and our Blue Steel drums. So also there's a senior class garage sale fundraiser. So it's a garage sale. So gently used clothes can be donated to our front office through November 1st for volunteer hours for students. And then clothes will be sold on November 5th at the Flagler Humane Society to fundraise our senior events throughout the year, with a portion of funds being donated to the Humane Society as well. Okay. And then November 18th, we're doing a trip to the Florida Classic football game between FAMU and BCU. So this is it's a college football visit to help students explore their college options. And we're looking forward to next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gatzik. Mr. Wong.
Hi, good evening all. Unfortunately, at FBC, the PSAT did not go as planned due to technical issues, but we have rescheduled for the 25th of October. Real quickly, I'd like to kind of touch on the academics. I'd like to go over some of the accomplishments our students have recently achieved. 21 students have achieved the College Board National Recognition Award for the Rural and Small Town, 21 students. And then 5 more students further achieved the National Hispanic Recognition Award, with 3 more students also achieving the National African American Award. Also earlier this month, we had our student athlete achieve a perfect score in bowling against Bruce Creek, Miss Emma Puzillo. I hope I pronounced that right. And then just recently, this past Saturday, the FPC Marching Bulldogs and Matanzas Band of Pirates performed 2 wonderful halftime shows. Also coming up, we do have on October 25th, our virtual teen town hall. This month's topic is about vaping and fentanyl. This will be at 7:30, and students who participate actively during this call on Google Meets will receive 5 community service hours. If you guys do know any students who are interested, please send them our way. We both have our school emails, and there are flyers over there on our left, your right, on the table over there. And that is all. Thank you, and have a good night.
Congratulations to Ms. Moore, our new superintendent. Very excited. It brings me great joy to see and hear all the feedback that we're getting and just how happy our staff and the community is to have her. And I just really believe that we made a great decision, and we hope to have you for a very long time. And I just want to also clarify on the Bible challenge. The Bible's not going anywhere in our schools, so please don't believe the misinformation, and I just appreciate those who came out to speak about it. On the fight that took place at Matanzas, I'm disappointed to see the state of our youth, and this really all goes back to the home. Parents, the school cannot raise your children, but there will be consequences if you don't. I don't have a child in high school yet, but I'd be upset if he walked into the lunchroom and a brawl was taking place. Our children do not deserve this, and our staff do not deserve this. And I'll quote Dr. Conklin on this, so please don't twist my words, but if you cannot behave in our schools, then here's a voucher. You're free to go somewhere else. The behavior of our children really needs to change, because when you grow up and you're in the real world, you can't brawl with your coworkers, even though sometimes you might feel like it. On this Holocaust Remembrance Week, I am continuing to pray and stand with Israel, and also just want to say happy October. I'm excited to begin to head into the holidays and looking forward to all those things. An event taking place in our community right now is Maze Days out in Bunnell. That's a great event for the whole family. And while I really don't celebrate Halloween, I do love the opportunity to go out into the community and just see everybody and see all the kids dressed up. So looking forward to that. Have a great night.
To start, I'd like to just address some of the commenters tonight. And first off is regarding the cybercrime that we were attacked with. I'd ask if you have time in your closing comments, Superintendent Moore, we were going to get a little quick briefing. If you could just touch on that for the sake of the community. But as the commenter said, there is a lot that's still under investigation, but I'm sure there's some things that we can reveal tonight about where the state of that investigation is. Secondly, I'd like to touch on the Guardian program. This is definitely something that I have advocated for since I was running for office, and did vote for when it came before the board as an agenda item. And it did not pass, but I just wanted to share an experience. I was invited to Parkland over the weekend to the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas campus high school where that shooting took place. And I have to tell you, it was a very difficult and emotional journey through this year. We were toured also at a separate tour. Superintendent Moore also attended as well. And we walked through the entire incident, the path through the building all the way up to the third floor. And the biggest thing I learned from there is time is of the essence. By the time the whole thing took 7 minutes. 7 minutes, and 17 people were dead, and another, I believe, approximately 17 wounded. The SRO that was on campus arrived at the building at about 1:45 after the first shots were fired. By that time, all the children on the first floor were already murdered. Going up to the second floor, there was no one that was shot, and to the third floor, that's where more carnage took place. So even if we had a willing, in that scenario, at that school, a willing SRO to go into the building and take on the shooter, still many would have already perished by the time he just arrived to the building. But deputies did not actually enter the building until 12 minutes after the first shot. So there was just no chance. But there were two brave faculty members that did enter the building and had no way to defend themselves, and they were murdered as well, along with the other students there. And I firmly believe had they been armed or somebody else in there, it would have at least lowered the casualty count in there. So I just ask, as a community, some of the board members we're asking for buy-in, and fair enough. But here's a story to share, and I'm hoping that we'll start getting that buy-in from the community and from our faculty, because this is not only for the students' protection, it's for our faculty's protection as well. Also, just another positive note that came out of that, other than the Guardian program, was Alyssa's Law, and today we now have the technology needed to comply with that, where we have a silent notification that will trigger a lockdown to the sheriff's office immediately once that is triggered. And that technology is now in our schools, and that is a very valuable notification and warning system. And as far as the cell towers, I have received several emails. We're going to be getting some information. I know some are not pleased with the source of it, but that's where we're starting. It's a learning process, so I don't know where that's going to go, but we're at least want you to know we're acknowledging, we heard you, we want to explore it more. So, and safety and security. It goes, again, to echo Ms. Chong's comments, this goes back to the parents letting their children know that there will be consequences for action, and when it comes to violence, we will not accept that. As far as I'm concerned, from my District 2 seat, there is zero tolerance. I'm sure there's others that agree, and I have directed the superintendent that as far as I'm concerned, we cannot have any tolerance on violence. Kids, in fact, should be safe, feel safe when they come to school. And for the Bible challenge as well, at the very least, this book, to some, is a historical text that has survived over 2,000 years, but to many it's the inspired Word of God, and I would support retaining that in our schools. Thank you very much and have a great evening. And by the way, again, congratulations, Ms. Moore. Very honored to be here tonight and see you sworn in.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there with us this long. I want to start by congratulating Superintendent Moore as well. Although I think when we voted, I said congratulations to us. I still feel that way because we're the ones who are really winning. I like to abbreviate Superintendent Moore as Super Moore, and she really, to me, wears a cape and truly is now already just a superhero here, and I'm excited. Someone brought up the word legacy. I'm excited to see your legacy unfold here in Flagler County, so thank you for taking on this role. Just a quick school district announcement. It's Fall Festival time. I attended Rimfire's Fall Festival last year. If you are a parent who loves cheap entertainment, I encourage you to take your kids to your respective schools' Fall Festival during this season. It is just a wonderful time. I want to share my condolences both locally. We had a Flagler schools tragedy, I believe this week, and I just wanted to share my condolences locally, and then certainly, as Christy mentioned, abroad for any families here in Flagler County who are impacted in any way. I also am going to speak to the dog father, who we have not seen here in a while. Hello. In case you missed it, we had unanimous, I think, consent on moving forward with the Guardian program. The caveat is not at this time, and I'm going to just explain that real quick. I'm going to speak for my one vote. Since I was elected in the primary in August, I've had observations, conversations that this district is in need of standard operating procedures, a little bit more structure, more maybe some more, we talked about during the superintendent vote, maybe more presence in the schools from leadership. And so I was not comfortable at this point in time with some lack of structure, adding guns to the mix. And so I personally see value, I still see value in us exploring that program. It just becomes a benefit risk look at that topic. So I just wanted to share on that. But again, that kind of ties back to Superintendent Moore. I know she's the right leader to get us to the place where when we have those conversations again, that we will be in a better place. I'll just echo the Bible. I don't know if it was Superintendent Moore who emailed that it's a part of the Florida standards. So I'm not foreseeing that that is something that is going to be removed from our schools, but I appreciate, again, the comments about it. And that is it for me tonight. Thank you all, and have a really great holiday season that is starting up.
Dr. Conklin. Thank you. I associate myself with a lot of the comments previous board members have made, and I want to welcome, because I missed it last time, but I want to welcome the 2 new board members. We so enjoy your input, so I encourage you to share your perspective on topics when we're discussing them. Don't be shy or feel like you have to only stick to what's happening at your school. We love to hear your input, and we hope that you'll share that with us. So congratulations for being the voice of your student body. I just want to bring everybody's attention, just real quick, looking at the proportionate fair share agreements, because we had, 4 of them on? Just real quick, I was just tallying it up. It's 818 units. It's 62 elementary seats. It's 41 middle school seats and 57 high school seats. It's a good thing that we're planning for the expansion of Matanzas, and we were able to do the redistricting for, or the rezoning for the elementary schools. But this building and this construction continues, we're going to be at capacity sooner than we are later. The other piece I just wanted to kind of bring a little bit of attention to, I wanted to say thank you and congratulations to the aspiring leaders. I think it is so critical that we have our folks building that bench, if you will. And I know NEFECT has a really quality program, so it was great to see that we had so many participating in that. I'm glad that the chamber and our business leaders took the time to go in and tour our schools and share such positive feedback. That was wonderful to hear from them. In addition to some of the conversations tonight, specifically around the cell towers, I recognize those cell towers went in quite a while ago. And as we do get information, I tend to agree we should not only be hearing from the representatives of there's obviously a self-serving purpose there. So I'm hoping that staff can provide some research from medical journals or something that we can really take a look at, whether it's presented to us or it's provided and we can review it. But I think we need to provide a fair balance of information on this topic. And it's come up before, so I think it's due for a conversation for sure. Superintendent Moore, I wanted to congratulate you. I won't repeat some of the things that have already been said about the Bible and the Guardian program, but I wanted to take a moment to congratulate you. I'm looking forward to Flagler Forward, and it was wonderful to see you with your family tonight and how proud they must be. So I'm just super excited about your leadership. I appreciate your leadership, and hopefully we don't mess it up for you. I will, on a last note, well, 2 things. I do want to say, really keeping those who are losing their innocent lives, both in Israel and Palestine. There are people who are innocent, both sides of that conflict. Mothers are losing their children regardless. So just keep those folks in our thoughts and prayers. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you for the calls and the text messages and the emails and the flowers about losing my dad. So I really do appreciate that very, very much. And that's it.
A couple things. As far as we're celebrating family engagement. Family engagement, what it means to me, and I would hope a lot of other people, is that you're actually actively involved in your child or children, depending how many you have. You know where they are, you know what they do, you know what they're talking on, you know what they're seeing on their videos and they have their cell phones always on, and they're, tweeting away, but you understand that and you're aware of it as a parent. Parents' rights equals parents' responsibilities. School violence should not be happening. We have to have the parents involved with their children. We can have all the zero tolerance, which we do now, but you saw what happened. That didn't start at school. That started at home, in the neighborhood, on the bus. And these are things that we have to combat as adults. We have to make parents responsible. This is a conversation I had for many years with the Department of Juvenile Justice. Yes, juvenile crime is going down. That's because they're not processing a lot of them. But we're going to have kids that have felonies. Felonies don't go away. Felonies stop kids from going to college, from joining the service. They're not thinking that far ahead. They don't have adult brains yet. So we have to help them as adults understand. But we have to be involved with the children. It's as simple as that. This past Saturday, I had the privilege to attend the 2023 Flagler County NAACP Freedom Fund Luncheon. It was a lovely affair at the ACC, and at that event, Ms. Moore received an award. She wasn't there, so I got to pick it up for her, which was wonderful. But what a great event it was. I see Ms. Pearson sitting out here as president of the NAACP, and it was a wonderful affair, and I was very glad to be able to participate in that. Last Thursday, we had the community showcase at Buddy Taylor. And as long as you had a canoe, you made it there, because that's when it was raining so hard. We all got hammered. I got there, and we had a ton of people that participated in agencies, and I'd like to thank them, because I think they got in before we really got hammered, and then they got stuck inside. But there were some parents and was some engagement, and we've got to continue doing those kind of opportunities so people know what's going on and what's available. Because you always hear kids say, there's nothing to do. Guess what? There's lots to do. There really is. But you got to get out and find those things and get engaged in them. And a lot of times they don't. So we got to keep with that. As far as the 5G cell towers, I said it before and I said it, we'll keep working on that. We're gaining information. We're trying to be educated and learn. And I agree, it has to be from both sides. When they put those first towers up, 5G didn't exist. There were no rules. And the rules are all pertained to older radioactive programs. But I also have to question kids with their cell phones. Cell phones and earbuds. I have a teenager at Matanzas. Too much cell phone, too many earbuds, and what is that doing to the brain? Too, it's a vicious cycle that our youth are experiencing, and it's going to pay problems in the future, as well as I don't think they're going to be able to move their hands because of tweeting and using their thumbs, texting all the time. You watch, it's coming. Orthopedics are very happy. So, there's a lot of problems here. A lot of it deals with these radioactive waves that nobody sees, you're right, and it does cause problems. And we've got to get to the bottom of this, and as long as I'm here, I'm sure this board is going to work diligently to get to the truth. If we have to move the tower, we move the tower. If they have to take it down, they take it down. If they shut it down, it's not the money. It's not paying that much, okay? But we got to make sure we have our information straight before a final decision is made, and we will do that. Guardian program. I had questions about the Guardian program. I don't think there's many people here that really oppose the Guardian program, but you must understand the Guardian program will not act when they see a fight. They cannot engage. They can only engage when there is a shooter, an active shooter. So don't think that's a solution to fighting, okay? I would like to congratulate Ms. Moore. I look forward to working with her for the next year and a half, or year, whatever it is. And we do have to sympathize not only with, we did have a member of our Flagler family lose a child this week, and we have to sympathize with that family as well as those who are losing innocents' lives in Palestine and Israel, because it just shouldn't be in this world today. Hate. Hate is a problem. So, with that being said, Ms. Moore.
Okay, I will speak as quickly as I can so I can stay within my 5 minutes, but I do want to address a couple things that have come up. As for the fraud, I just want to say that this is an ongoing and active investigation, and so we cannot release a lot of details, but we will continue to work with our bank as well as with our local law enforcement officers and our federal agencies that are supporting our local law enforcement officers on this matter. In the meantime, we have put into place many different procedures and changes to ensure that our payment process, that it is secure and that any loopholes, we've closed them. I will tell you, we hear and we know about what has happened here in Flagler, but I will say that the very week that this happened to us, it also happened to other school districts as well that same week. And not that that explains away anything, but it is something that we have to be vigilant about, as well as our sister districts across the state. We've talked about fighting, we've talked about any type of violence or inappropriate behavior on our campus. And I see Mr. Finelli back in the back. We line out and list those things that should not happen within our school and what we want to see within our schools. And physical violence is definitely not that. And, you know, I know that there have been lots of comments about what the school knew or did not know. But at the end of the day, we need the support of our families to ensure and speak to their children about not engaging, not seeking out to be involved in violent interactions with others. And so we will continue to work with that. I know that we did hold, we will always hold a hearing for those individuals to identify what is the next course of action and how we need to proceed as a school district to ensure that our campuses are safe. But I would like to commend our Matanzas High School faculty and staff. They did engage appropriately. They were there. They did respond, and we will continue to work through that situation. There's been a lot happening in these last 46 days of school. So much has happened in the last 46 days of school. But I am still confident that we are on the right path and that we will, in fact, move Flagler forward. And so we will just continue to work through those things. I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for the opportunity to step into this role as superintendent of Flagler Schools. I thank you for your trust in me to lead this organization forward. I want to say thank you to our families, to our community members who have reached out to say, listen, we're in this together, we're willing to work to ensure that our school district really reflects that which we know it should, and that is a good representation of this district. To our faculty and staff, it is an honor to represent and to serve alongside each and every one of you. I will tell you, with all that has happened in the last 46 days, it has not discouraged me about serving in this role, but it encouraged me all the more because I know firsthand the great things that happen here in Flagler Schools. And I've said it once and I will continue to say it. I want to give to this community a school district that they can be proud of. It does not matter where individuals educate their children, because I know the importance of a school district to a community. If we want Flagler County to continue to thrive, then our school district must thrive. It does not matter. If you live here in Flagler County, I ask that you continue to pay attention to what is happening here within our schools and continue to share your comments, share your thoughts, share your concerns as well. I want to also take an opportunity to thank my family who came. You know, you see a portion of them. I'm very blessed to be a part of a very big family. But what you do not see is my aunts and my uncles, and I had an an aunt and an uncle that was here tonight, but you don't see my aunts and my uncles and my cousins who are right now having a watch party, as they call it, watching because they are so proud of me and what I represent. This did not start the last couple of months. I have, for the last 20 years, been somebody who has been so just faithful to education and the love that I have. And so when we talk about legacy, my legacy, one, in my home, I want my children and my husband to speak well of me. When they see me and my family sees me, I want them to continue to be proud of me and what I represent. I want to ensure that the person that you see here is a person that they can be proud of at home as well. And then my other legacy is my many students that I have taught and the opportunity to serve them. And when I see them out and about, and many of them now work for this organization, which I do not understand how that is possible, but for them to know that I am somebody who deeply cares for them and want what is best for them and for our families and our community to know that I have no other motivation other than to ensure that our students get the best education possible and that I give to this community a system that they can be proud of. Because I will tell you, the last 46 days have given me a reason to think about walking away for sure. It's been a lot happening. But honestly, thank you so much. And I know I've gone over my 5 minutes, but I want to just say thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you to Flagler Schools as a whole. And thank you to this community. I look forward to working alongside you as we move Flagler forward. Thank you.
On that note, I will officially adjourn